So, welcome to today's deep dive. I want to start by asking you something. Have you ever noticed that really heavy sinking feeling that just sort of settles into your stomach on a Sunday afternoon?
Oh, yeah. The Sunday pit.
Right, the Sunday pit. Like you're looking at the clock, you're watching the weekend just slip away, and you know that this grueling 60-hour work week is going to start all over again tomorrow.
It's brutal. And, it's a phenomenon that affects millions of people.
Exactly. You've been putting in the sweat, doing the heavy lifting, but then you look at your bank account and you're just like, why do I feel like I'm barely scraping by?
Well, we operate under this really deeply ingrained cultural narrative that exhaustion equals output. Like,
Mhm.
we treat burnout like it's this badge of honor you need to finally build a secure life.
Yeah, but for a lot of people listening to this deep dive right now, that formula is just, it's broken. It's not working.
No, it's absolutely not.
Which is exactly why our mission today is to look at this profound transition strategy. We want to explore how you move from being the exhausted laborer in your own life to, well, to becoming the architect.
I love that framing.
Yeah.
Laborer to architect.
Right. And we're pulling from a blueprint today called The Sovereign Shift, and it's by a creator who goes by Chillstar 08. And what makes this so interesting is her background.
Yeah, she is not your typical flashy digital guru.
No, not at all. Usually you see these internet marketers shouting from, the front of a rented sports car. But she is a 20-year union journeyman electrician.
Wow.
Yeah. She's a wife, a mother, a grandmother. When she talks about the toll of hard labor, she's not speaking in metaphors. She literally spent 2 decades wiring skyscrapers.
And I think that's why her perspective carries a completely different kind of weight. It's rooted in, the actual physical reality of the trades.
Exactly. She knows the smell of copper wire.
She knows what aching joints feel like.
Uh-huh.
And she brings what she calls this builder's brain to the digital space.
Which is so needed.
It really is. It allows her to break down these really complex online business concepts into practical, structural steps. She basically gives you a schematic for moving from physical grit to digital leverage.
So let's unpack this a bit. Let's start with the fundamental problem she identifies, which is why that Sunday afternoon dread is so common.
Right.
I mean, if working harder was the secret to wealth, the people pulling double shifts would be the richest people on earth.
Oh, 100%. But she argues that traditional employment traps us in something she calls the efficiency trap.
Okay, so how does that actually function in the real world?
Well, the efficiency trap operates on this false premise that being busy is the exact same thing as being impactful.
Right.
Like in an hourly wage system, we're conditioned to believe that the only way to increase our income is to increase our hours. But the problem there is twofold. First, your time is finite.
Yeah, there's only 24 hours in a day. You mathematically hit a ceiling.
Exactly. And second, which is honestly more insidious, there's a huge psychological and physical cost to that equation.
Because, the more hours you work, the more depleted you become.
Precisely. You work more,
Yeah.
you get physically and mentally exhausted.
Mm.
And that depletion creates this cognitive fog. You lose clarity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when you operate with low clarity and high stress, you start developing what financial psychologists call money leaks.
Wait, money leaks. I want to make sure I understand the mechanics of that. Are we talking about emotional spending as a coping mechanism?
That is the primary driver, yes.
Yeah.
Think about the trade worker pulling 70-hour weeks.
Right. They're completely wiped out.
They're exhausted. So they start buying expensive takeout every single night because they're just too tired to cook.
Yeah.
Or, they go and buy a massive $60,000 truck with a huge monthly payment.
Because they feel like they deserve it for working so hard.
Exactly. Their income might have gone up because of the overtime, but their lifestyle costs rise right alongside it just to cope with the stress of earning that money.
That is such a vicious cycle.
It is. They end up trapped, having to keep working 70 hours just to pay for the things they bought to comfort themselves for working 70 hours.
Oh, man. Okay. If I'm visualizing this, it's like putting a massive high-performance engine in a car that has flat tires.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Like, you don't win the race. You just spin out and get stuck in the mud faster.
Yeah.
Working more hours is just adding a bigger engine to a completely broken vehicle.
That analogy hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Earning more through sheer hours keeps your most valuable assets, your time and your energy, entirely controlled by someone else's limits.
Yeah.
When you're the laborer, you're perpetually in reaction mode. You react to the alarm clock, the shift schedule, the overtime. To build actual wealth, you have to fix the tires. You have to step out of reaction mode.
Okay, so how does someone actually do that? Because let's say I'm a listener working a really demanding job in healthcare or law enforcement or the trades. I can't just walk in tomorrow and quit. I have a mortgage, I have kids. The idea of suddenly becoming this architect sounds great in theory, but honestly, kind of reckless in practice.
Oh, it would be incredibly reckless to just abandon your livelihood without a plan. That's where the sovereign shift comes in.
Right, the transition.
Yeah, it's not about burning your boats, it's about building a bridge. It's a calculated pivot from active income, where you literally trade hours for dollars, to layered intentional income streams.
And the materials outline a specific construction plan for this bridge, right?
Yeah.
Starting with three foundational pillars.
That they do.
So the first two make total logical sense to me. First, paying off high-interest debt to free up daily cash flow. That gives you breathing room.
Yep, eventual.
And second, starting a side offer that leverages the skills you already possess, like maybe consulting or specialized freelance services.
Exactly, using what you already know.
But it's the third pillar that I really want to dig into because it challenges literally everything we're talking about stable income. The blueprint insists on moving toward models that pay 100% commissions rather than a fixed hourly wage.
What's fascinating here is that this requires a massive psychological rewiring.
How so?
Well, when you're on an hourly wage, your brain is conditioned to value mere presence. You show up, you clock in, you get paid. It doesn't matter what the actual leverage of your output was in that hour.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Stepping into a commission-based or value-based model forces you to uncouple your worth from the clock. You are finally paid directly for the value you create and distribute.
Okay, I have to hit pause right there. Whenever I hear about programs pushing 100% commissions, my guard immediately goes up.
I don't blame you at all.
Right. Because it sounds like those business-in-a-box schemes or, frankly, an MLM pitch. In the real world, someone always takes a cut. So how does this actually function mathematically? Are we just analyzing a pyramid scheme here?
No, that is a completely valid reaction, and honestly, it's critical to approach those terms with a heavy dose of scrutiny.
Good, I'm glad we're on the same page.
We are not here to endorse a specific product. We're analyzing the architecture of the strategy. In the digital economy, 100% commission models usually refer to direct sales of digital assets, or something called master resale rights.
Okay, break that down for me. What is a digital asset in this context?
So, unlike physical products like copper wire or lumber, where every new unit requires new raw materials, digital products cost absolutely nothing to duplicate.
Right, because it's just data.
Exactly. If you write an extensive technical guide or record a video course, you do the work once. The cost to deliver that course to one person is the exact same as delivering it to 10,000 people. It's practically zero.
Okay, that makes sense.
So in models involving resale rights, a creator sells you the license to a digital product. Once you own that license, you can sell the product directly to consumers, and you process the payments through your own system.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because there's no physical overhead or manufacturing cost, you retain the entire purchase price. There's no downline or hierarchical structure like an MLM. It's a direct vendor-to-customer transaction.
So you're essentially buying or building the digital equivalent of a vending machine. You stock it with a product that costs nothing to restock, and you just keep the money people put into the machine.
Exactly. And it removes that artificial ceiling on your earning potential. But, and this is a big but, the caveat is that if you don't know how to drive traffic to that vending machine, you make $0.
Right.
It shifts all the responsibility onto you as the architect.
Which leads directly into my next major concern.
Let's hear it.
Let's say I understand the mechanics of selling a digital asset. The immediate image that pops into my head, and probably the heads of anyone listening who values their privacy, is having to become this loud, dancing social media influencer.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right, because the idea of standing in my kitchen, pointing at text bubbles while some trendy song plays just to sell a PDF guide, that sounds like an absolute nightmare.
It is a massive barrier to entry for a lot of people, especially those coming from serious technical professions. They want sovereignty, but they don't want internet fame.
Exactly.
So the strategy document addresses this directly with a concept called faceless wealth, or what Chillstar refers to as operating in quiet mode.
Oh, I love that term, quiet mode. So how does faceless wealth actually work in practice?
Faceless wealth relies on utility and systems rather than personality and audience validation. I mean, we live in a society that normalizes loud money,
Oh yeah, the designer logos, the rented luxury
the
cars.
constant need for attention on social media. Faceless wealth is the exact opposite. It involves setting up automated digital funnels, leveraging search engine optimization, using email marketing, running targeted ads.
Stuff that just works quietly in the background.
Yes, exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Let me try an analogy here to see if I'm grasping the mechanics.
Go for it.
Think about a beautifully constructed house. When you walk into a custom home, nobody ever says, "Wow, look at the craftsmanship on those PVC pipes hidden inside the drywall."
No, they definitely don't.
Right. They look at the flashy designer paint job or the marble countertops. But the paint job doesn't keep the house functioning while you sleep. The plumbing and the electrical wiring do. So is faceless wealth essentially the plumbing of a digital business?
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
Mm-hmm.
You're using your builder's brain to follow a technical diagram and install wires behind the walls.
Okay, give me an example of what that looks like.
Let's say our hypothetical union electrician creates a digital guide on how apprentices can pass their journeyman exam.
Yeah.
Instead of doing TikTok dances, they create a simple automated landing page.
Right.
Then they write blog articles or create Pinterest pins targeting really specific search terms like journeyman exam study tips.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so when an apprentice searches that term, they find the pin, click the link, enter their email, and then they receive an automated sequence of emails offering the guide for sale.
Wow. And the creator could be physically on a job site, literally wiring a real building, while that digital system processes a sale in the background.
Correct. The system's success is based entirely on the value it provides to that apprentice, not on whether people like the creator's latest post. It's highly technical, highly strategic, and completely silent.
You know, the materials pose this diagnostic question to test this, and it really stops you in your tracks. I want the listener to really hear this. If I stopped working for 60 days, how much money would still come in?
That is the ultimate litmus test for sovereignty.
Yeah.
If your answer to that question is zero, then regardless of how high your hourly rate is, you are a laborer. You're entirely dependent on the next swing of the hammer. Faceless wealth is the architecture that allows your answer to be something other than zero.
This brings us to a larger framework presented in the materials, which is referred to as the Legacy Builder Program. And again, I want us to look at this objectively. The document describes this not just as a single product, but as a digital grid comprised of 10 distinct income streams wired into one master circuit. And it outlines different entry tiers, ranging from $100 up to $1,400. Why structure it this way? What's the functional purpose of those tiers?
Well, from a structural perspective, tiered digital programs are designed to accommodate different levels of capital and commitment.
Makes sense.
Right. So someone who's just trying to escape the Sunday pit might only have $100 to invest in learning basic digital marketing or, setting up a simple automated funnel.
Right, they just want to get their feet wet.
Exactly. But the higher tiers, like the $1,400 level, typically include much more advanced licensing rights, comprehensive sales funnels, broader educational resources.
Okay.
By tiering the program, a user can start small, generate some revenue, and then use those profits to upgrade their system, what the author calls increasing the voltage of their business.
And they do that without taking on massive debt. So it's essentially a learn and earn model. You're acquiring the tools, you're learning how the digital wiring works, and potentially reselling the infrastructure while you're still grabbing your physical tools at your day job.
Yes. And making it available in multiple languages like English and Spanish just expands the utility of that digital asset across entirely different markets.
Oh, for sure.
But again, the core philosophy here is moving from paycheck thinking to generational thinking.
Right.
You stabilize your present by paying down debt, you build these quiet digital systems, and eventually you design a legacy where your time is no longer monopolized by just basic survival.
And that transition really seems to be the foundation for an alter ego philosophy introduced in the text called the softer life.
Yes.
Now, I want to clarify something here, because when a lot of people hear the phrase soft life, they imagine someone lounging around in a silk robe, eating grapes, and just lacking ambition. It sounds like laziness.
That is a very common misconception, especially among people who really pride themselves on their grit and work ethic.
Right, the union folks.
Exactly. But the blueprint defines the softer life as something highly strategic. It is not about a lack of ambition. It's about intentionally choosing margin over constant motion.
Margin, that is a great word.
It means building a life that respects your physical boundaries. It's the realization that you no longer have to prove your worth to the world through your own physical exhaustion.
So what does this all mean, practically?
It means you start proving your worth through your results, your alignment, and your peace of mind. You let the systems do the heavy lifting.
The author actually includes a manifesto for this mindset called the Chillstar Creed, and it acts as the psychological anchor for this new architecture. It includes lines like, I am grounded in peace and I release what was. I embrace what is becoming.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a formal acknowledgement that the old grind, that belief that you just have to suffer more to earn more, is burned. You're stepping into the role of the architect.
Which is incredibly powerful. But while a creed is a great psychological tool, an architect's blueprint is completely useless if the building never actually gets constructed.
Very true.
The transition from theory to reality requires a tangible protocol.
So let's talk about installation. How does someone who's currently working 50 or 60 hours a week actually implement this without just adding more exhaustion to their plate?
Well, the materials provide a very specific 120-minute daily installation protocol.
2 hours a day.
Yes. This is where the builder's brain really shines, because it breaks down an overwhelming concept into very manageable daily tasks. The protocol is divided into 3 distinct phases.
Okay, so phase one is a 30-minute block of what they call silent focus. And I found this fascinating because the number one rule is no researching allowed.
That is a crucial constraint.
Why is that?
Well, when people try to build something online, they often fall right back into the efficiency trap. They spend 3 hours scrolling through tutorials and reading articles on YouTube, convincing themselves they're working.
Oh, I've definitely done that.
We all have. But they haven't actually built anything. So that 30 minutes of silent focus is strictly for building. Setting up a landing page, drafting an email, no distractions, no passive consumption.
Then we move to phase two, which is a 60-minute block dedicated to creation. This is where you're actively laying down digital wire.
Right. During this hour, you're creating the assets that will eventually function as your faceless wealth.
Give me an example.
This could be writing a blog post that will rank on search engines, creating those Pinterest pins we discussed earlier, or developing a digital guide. This is the absolute highest leverage activity of your day because you're building something that can work for you indefinitely.
Awesome. And finally, phase three is a 30-minute block for sharpening. This is where you refine the system.
Exactly. You might tweak your branding, look at your SEO keywords, or integrate some AI tools to make your processes more efficient. It's tightening the bolts on the machine you just built.
And if you look at the math of that protocol, it is only 2 hours a day. But it's 2 hours of highly focused strategic building rather than 10 hours of reactive, exhausting labor.
And this protocol is tied to a concept that I think is one of the most powerful behavioral shifts in the entire strategy. The Monday mind shift.
Oh, let's talk about that because most of us wake up on Monday morning already feeling defensive.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We look at a massive stressful to-do list dictated by our boss, our clients, our circumstances, and we just try to survive until Friday.
But the Monday mind shift flips that dynamic completely. Instead of starting your week looking at a list of reactions, you sit down and look at a freedom list.
A freedom list.
Yes. You ask yourself one defining question for the week. What can I set up once this week that will pay me again later?
What a profound question. You're intentionally scheduling actions that build an asset, not just actions that consume your hours.
And that is the exact mechanism that transitions you from a laborer to an architect. When you execute that 120-minute protocol and ask that question every single week, your efforts quietly compound.
You're laying down 1 foot of digital wire at a time.
Exactly. It might not look like much on day 1 or even day 30.
Yeah.
But over time, you construct a grid that sustains you completely independently of your physical labor.
So to bring all of these blueprints together for a final inspection, the core message here isn't that hard work is bad, right? Hard work, grit, the skills you've learned in the trades or your profession, they are incredibly honorable.
Absolutely.
You just need to stop worshiping exhaustion as the only path to success. Grinding harder on a broken system will not buy you the freedom you crave.
The sovereign shift is not some massive overnight leap that requires you to quit your job and risk everything. It's a series of small, calculated, brave, daily decisions.
Like that 120-minute protocol.
Exactly. Decisions that slowly transition you away from merely reacting to the demands of the day.
You don't have to be loud, you don't have to be famous, you just have to be strategic. You have to lay the wiring.
Beautifully said.
We want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. If you were to open up your calendar right now and ruthlessly audit where your hours are actually going, whose dream is taking up the most real estate?
That's a tough question.
It is. If your schedule is entirely filled with wiring someone else's skyscraper, what would happen if you reclaimed just 10% of that time? Just 2 hours a day to draw up the blueprints for your own?
I think it might be time to find out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.